This is the beginning of something huge, as despite a ton of backlash from fans, this one thing about manager Mike Shildt will prove the payoff over time for the Padres. We're going to get into what that is and why fans should be excited in just a second. Before anything, hi, welcome back to another episode of Padres Digest with your host, Andrew. Happy to be back. We have a rare off day Andrew video. Today, we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive analysis, so if you like these kind of videos, please subscribe, because I love doing these kind of videos. Subscribe, help us grow our numbers. Maybe I'll make more of these if you guys like them. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So, as I've been kind of teasing, Mike Shildt and his bullpen. Very decisive topic, I guess I could say, in the Padres fandom right now, especially after last night's loss. I mean, I can bring up the box score on my side. I got rid of it on the graphics. My bad. But yesterday, as you saw, Kyle Hart wasn't horrible. Wasn't great, and then two runners were on. We took out Hart, put in Morgan, and then Morgan gave up a 3-run home run, tied the game. That sucked, right? But we got the lead back. Great, fantastic. And then Adam was kind of iffy. And instead of getting Robert Suarez for a 4-out save, because there were 2 outs in the 8th inning, we put in Wandy Peralta, and you all saw how that ended horribly. So again, not great from Mike Shildt. I mean, I can show you the picture I used from yesterday. This loss is largely on Shildt. He didn't go to Morjon or Suarez with the game on the line. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah. At the end, it says, legitimately threw the game away. His management of the pen is so bad and routinely, I can read, loses us games or makes games so out of reach we have no chance due to his decision making. So, I wanna emphasize that point, I guess we should say. So I want to bring up 2 games from the past that kind of prove this point, but I don't want you to jump on the Shildt hate train. I just want to present you with some facts, and then bear with me as I try to calm things down. Let's put it that way, right? So on I don't know exactly what day it was, I forgot. I think it was early May, but we lost 4-1 to the Mariners, right? And I want to point this part out is because it was 2-1 going into the 9th, and we still had a chance. This was during our massive offensive slump. But instead of going with someone more high leverage, we put in Jacob. Alec Jacob at that time was relatively solid, but he was having some bad pitching outings. So he gave up 2 runs, and it made the game 4-1, and then the offense obviously couldn't make a comeback, and we lost the game. That being said, the fact that he made the game pretty much out of reach kind of hurts the offense, obviously. But the fact that he put Jacob in, who at that time looked shaky to try and stop the bleeding, I guess we can call it, it doesn't look great, right? But another thing Mike Shildt kind of does right now, basically to Alec Jacob, right? Alec Jacob became kind of his pinata, and he let him get out there and get beat up. Because on the 0-14 game against the Blue Jays, where we got demolished, he left Alec Jacob out there for how long? Not even a full inning, and the man gave up 7 runs, 6 earned runs, and he had that grand slam, obviously. So at that point, yeah, we were kind of out of it, but to put a man out there and just turn him into cannon fodder, honestly, that could be one of the reasons why Alec Jacob is in AAA right now. Not just because his pitching isn't great, but at that point, we've kind of demolished his confidence, and we're starting to put him out there on hopelessly lost games. And even when we tried putting him back in the closer games, he fell apart. So the way you kind of threw your pitcher out there to kind of become the bait, become the fodder, that doesn't help. So one thing I do want to show you real quick is I do have the post-game comments from yesterday from Mike Shildt. I will tell you right now, this is paraphrased, and I moved some parts over. So this is not his exact words, but if you want to, it's on Twitter, it's on whatever, you can find it, 97.3 The Fan. But yeah, let me read it real quick for you. Yeah, I think it was a little bit of attrition, right? You know, you're talking about 9 games, the last 7, a bullpen game, extra innings. Those guys, man, so much respect for the bullpen. Those guys are getting after it. Man, we didn't want to go Suarez more than 1. And, listen, they did well. They laid it out there, and they put some swings in the ball, and we hurt ourselves in the 8th, and that was kind of the story. So, he was very adamant about not going with Suarez for a 4-out save. Now, I don't know if it's a longevity kind of problem because we know pitchers like Estrada, Adam, Suarez, they're going to be here the entire year, barring injury that we obviously don't want to happen. But those are established pitchers in the bullpen, and obviously we want them to pitch the entirety of the year. And it's a long, long season. Pitchers get tired. So, again, it's May. Wow, we could have jumped up in the standings yesterday because the Dodgers and the Giants lost. It's still May. And maybe not putting in Suarez for an extra out could help him in the long term. I'm not saying it will. I'm just presenting you with my thesis on it, my example, I guess. I don't know. But what I do want to show you guys is I went to the past and I looked up some old Reddit threads with the Cardinal fans. Guys, as you know, Mike Shildt was a former Cardinals manager. And I want to show you guys some thoughts. Not all of it. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to get to the main topics of it. So cons. This is from around when he got fired from the Cardinals. So in 2019, I think it was, 2020. No, 2021 it would have been. Yeah. So terrible bullpen management. So it's the cons. Sorry, it's the cons of what he said. We'll skip the pros. Well, I guess we can do the pros. Pros, excellent clubhouse manager, came in after Matheny's firing, blah, blah, blah. Prioritized fundamentals, cleaning up both base running and defensive errors, blah, 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 right? But the cons, terrible bullpen management, could give awful press interviews. We've noticed that kind of too, to be honest. But may have prioritized gut feelings and pitcher feelings over analytics. And rumors are that along with being a great players manager, he was a terrible coaching staff manager. So a common theme you're going to notice is a lot of bullpen comments and a lot of the facts that he put feelings over analytics. So kind of like the plot of Moneyball, basically, right? If you ever watched Moneyball. But this is a reply to a larger thread. I didn't want to read all of it, so we'll skip to the bottom. Then thrown in the resistance to platoons and poor bullpen management. I think there are clear disconnects between the front office and Shildt. Again, another example of Shildt possibly not liking analytics. And then the last one real quick. Shildt was a tactically sound manager who didn't throw his players under the bus and generally got the best out of his guys. My one complaint about him is his tendency to burn out the bullpen due to an excessive confidence in which pitcher had the hot hand. This led to depleted pens down the home stretch. So, the rest of it doesn't matter, right? So going back to my point about not wanting to use Roberto Suarez to get a 4-out save, I feel like at some points Shildt has learned from his past mistakes and doesn't want to overuse his bullpen because obviously he wants to save it for the playoffs. But maybe there's a point in time where you're too overly cautious. You're too want to make sure that everyone's healthy because obviously these are professional athletes. They are on top of the game, on top of the world. So their bodies should relatively be built to pitch for an entire year. I'm obviously not an athlete, so I wouldn't know. But I guess it's the idea of being a little too overly cautious that is kind of carried over from those past mistakes. But I want to show you this article, or at least a quote from this article. So this article kind of said the opposite. I'm going to read the quote. I guess the credit got cut off. Let me see if I can find it for you. VivaElBirdos.com. I'm guessing it is Viva El Birdos. It looked weird all put together. But that's a Cardinals community. So they evaluated Mike Shildt's bullpen management. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it, but I'll read you this quote real quick. So, despite some questionable usage patterns, Shildt's bullpen was among the most effective in baseball by advanced metrics like DRA, deserved run average, and WPA, win probability added, showing that his overall strategy worked even if individual decisions could be debated. So they're saying at certain times, like say yesterday, for example, certain decisions could be questioned. And trust me, we've been questioning it. But overall, throughout the entire course of the season, his bullpen usage and management has been good. Now, this is from his literal first year as a manager in 2019. But let me put the quote up real quick. And then I'm going to read. So I had the article ran through ChatGPT, my best friend. And I'm going to give you some takeaways and concerns it brought up. But really quickly, if you don't know what DRA and WPA is, it'll be helpful. So DRA, deserved run average, estimates how many runs a pitcher should allow per 9 innings, adjusting for defense and luck. And then WPA is win probability added, which measures how much a player's actions increase or decrease a team's chance of winning based on the game situation. So part of the key takeaways, like we were saying about this quote, Is the Cardinals bullpen under Shildt ranked at near or the top of the MLB for the DRA and WPA and other advanced stats? And he showed flexibility when he lost top players, for example, Jordan Hicks. And then he was good at using, well, I'll just read what it says. Giovanni Gallegos was used smartly in high leverage situations, maximizing his effectiveness. So Giovanni Gallegos, if you remember him, he used to be a really good relief pitcher for the Cardinals. So he was good at using pitchers normally in the right situation. So he used, like we kind of said, the gut feeling to make these decisions. But based off of what people said, analytics might not have been his strong suit. Let's put it that way. But concerns real quick. Shildt eventually settled into rigid bullpen roles, which may have reduced efficiency, and certain overuse of relievers led to late season fatigue. So kind of like what we've been establishing from the fans and what this article kind of establishes, but it's still, for the overall point, despite some questionable usage patterns, it was the most effective in baseball, and his overall strategy worked. So what I also want you to remember is back in the day, I don't know if I can say back in the day, but when we had Bob Melvin as a manager, Bob Melvin was an old school guy, right? So he's not, allegedly, from what I heard, he's not like a big analytics guy. He's not Jonah Hill from Moneyball. And AJ Preller, as he's said, has said that he kind of let Bob Melvin do his thing because he's an established manager. But one thing he really liked about Mike Shildt, I don't have a quote, but I remember this, is that he will sit down with AJ Preller and go over the analytics. So I think over time, Mike Shildt has learned to embrace the analytical department, and it's benefited, genuinely. So one thing, obviously, we have is a much better bullpen, I think, than the Cardinals did back then. I don't exactly remember who the Cardinals had back then, but I think I can safely say that we have a better bullpen right now. So one thing I also want to show you real quick, the managerial stats from us, or from the Cardinals to us, right? So, I mean, he had some relatively A-okay seasons. I mean, 90 and 72, 91 and 71, and then the 2020 season doesn't really count that much. But he's had his best season with us. So it's not like he was a bad manager for the Cardinals, even with his bullpen usage and his bad bullpen usage, I guess, as the fans say. But like overall, he was a good manager in general. So I just want to show you this last thing, and then I'll go into my conclusion. I don't think I've ever come across a baseball fan who thinks their manager is a good bullpen manager. Yeah, us as fans, we're obviously super reactive, and we jump to conclusions. It's just how we are. I do it all the time. But I do genuinely think overall, and I'll show you guys my conclusion. I kind of wrote it out so I wouldn't forget anything, but here's my final thoughts. Mike Shildt has clearly grown throughout his managerial career. While he's still human and makes mistakes, he's developed into a solid bullpen manager overall. His past tendencies, like overusing his top relievers and being hesitant to embrace analytics, have become less noticeable. Sure, there are still moments where he puts the wrong guy on the mound or lets a reliever take a beating too long, but with a strong bullpen at his disposal and Ruben Niebla working his magic, Shildt's bullpen decisions have improved to the point where I, as a fan, feel confident in trusting him. So, I've presented you the points. Let me know how you feel. Do you genuinely think Mike Shildt is a horrible bullpen manager or just a bad manager in general? I would love to hear you guys. If you agree with me, disagree with me, let me know. I, like I said, personally think he's good at what he does, and I'm happy to have Mike Shildt on this team. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you want more analysis videos like this. Let me know. I like making these. They're fun. And yeah, have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, go Padres. Thank you for watching.